we go.
Hey, I was like, I don't know how this works, but I'm just going to keep pressing buttons
Nice to formally meet you in video form.
in video form. Yeah, in video D. It's
I know
also, I
this.
just thank you so much for this because everybody keeps saying you have to get to True Crimer Mikey. I was like, I'm trying to. So I'm so
I
glad
know
that that
it's
finally
hard
happened.
when I get a lot of people who like, can you cover this case? Can you? And they tag me in videos, and it's like I get a lot, so it's hard to like see them all. But
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. So that's good. Um, I just had something pop up saying that my viewers couldn't hear me, but I think they can.
I can hear you. So I
Okay.
haven't. You
So
should be
that's all
able
that
to.
matters.
Yeah. So just so everyone knows, you're Lilith. Yes, that's your
Yes.
name. Okay,
Yes.
just making sure. So this is Lilith. Her daughter, or is Andra Adams. Now you are in Canada
I'm in
still.
Nova Scotia, Canada.
And then Andra, she at one point was in Halifax. Is that in Nova Scotia, right?
Yes, she lived in Nova Scotia most of her life. She traveled a little bit, but she went to Seattle in 2019 to meet someone, came back, and then went back in 2020 and got
Okay.
stuck there during COVID. So that's kind
Right.
of why this happened. That's the
Okay.
outside.
So I guess to start, I guess just tell us about Andra. Like, her upbringing and when she was born and all that.
Andy is a twin. She has a twin brother, which is awesome. And they were always fun, smiley, outgoing, both of them. They couldn't be any more different, but they're both super kind and super helpful and good friends. So, every mother wants to say how great their daughter is or their kids are. So when
Yeah.
she passed, it was so humbling to have everybody else tell me, oh man, she was a legend. This was, she pulled me out of some dark times. And I was like, this is what I need to hear to keep going with this, right? Because it
Right.
was so shocking and yeah, it was so shocking, I guess, when we first found out, when we had to find out ourselves what happened.
Right. Because was gonna say, like, when I had to basically use your videos for context because there's like no coverage of her story, like articles or anything.
No,
Yeah, I mean, I had her like obituary, but that was about it.
mhm.
There wasn't really much
No,
about her story.
we
Is
actually
that
have,
because? So I have a question. So she was or is I won't say is, but she is indigenous. Yes.
yes.
What was her like? What was the tribe or?
More Mi'kmaq. So there's a lot of us in Nova Scotia.
Mhm.
So around here, like that was in the beginning here. I just want to throw this out there. People were like, maybe it's because she was indigenous. And I was like, I don't think so. Like she's a bright white little girl with pink hair. Um, However, the people that made that call, it happened because the guy that ran her over said, well, she's half native. She can't drink, basically, right? So then after that, then it was on the death certificate that she was indigenous too, right? So it was like, no one wants to call any kind of racial thing, but
Right.
when it starts off first second with like, oh yeah, I know the type, the cop said, right? Oh, mad from 0 to 100, had a drink. Oh my God. Clearly
Wow.
she's crazy. So yeah, that was kind of, and then like I said, they just wanted us to believe a certain version. So we even got the reports. We couldn't get the reports until we got a lawyer to
Right.
get the reports because they
That's
just kind of go, oh yeah, yeah, they're coming. And 11 months
even
later,
though
nothing,
even
nothing.
though she's your daughter,
Yeah.
you still had to go through a lawyer.
Yeah. They didn't call us as next of kin. Her parents are separated. Dawn and I are separated, and they didn't. They said they called him. He said, "There's no way I missed a phone call that night," and they didn't call me. But they have that on the hospital log and the police log. They didn't call me on the police body cam. They're constantly saying, "Oh, someone's got to call her folks. Like this is really bad," and we called them, and they called us back days later.
So okay, so let's basically what happened essentially? So she went. You said she had gone to Seattle for a boy, right?
Of course.
And what's his name?
His name is Dustin.
Dustin.
So she goes down to meet Dustin. So none of us have met Dustin. This is the interesting things. None of her friends here, nobody, which that's kind of odd, but whatever. It happens. She was 27, right?
Mhm.
So she had a rough time. She kind of let us know that in July things weren't so good, but then the COVID things happened. So she just wanted to stay there. She didn't even want to go to the airport. If she was allowed to, I'm not going near any of it.
Right.
So,
Right.
right. So she gets stuck there, I kind of think, because it sounded like it was bad enough in July to come home. So in September, they were going to go to his parents' barbecue. And for some reason, these friends of his went to pick her up early while he was at work at a convention. And they brought her over and they started day drinking, which I'm kind of going, I would like to think she's sensible enough to go. I'm meeting his parents and his sister and a new baby. Like, I'm not going to be that guy, right? She's really not. She's that guy, but not that guy. So, and later on, these are the friends that came forward to say, well, she's not a very good drinker. You know, we don't like to drink with her. And it was like, you went out of your way to go get her early in the day. And I kind of thought, you know what? We all have that one friend that we wouldn't go out of the way to get them early in the day to start day drinking because it's not going to be a pretty night.
Right.
So I thought that was strange. So then what happened was, and we do see this in the on-body camera, Dustin picks up her phone because I said to the policeman that I finally got in touch with, like, where's her phone? Like, the story of her death will be in her phone, right? This is not a new thing. People look for this. I don't know, maybe the boyfriend has it. Well, could we have the phone? Like, well, he's a good guy. This is the only thing he was selling to me. This is a good guy. Was he drinking? No, he says he doesn't drink. Cool. Like,
So he was driving the car,
mhm.
correct?
So they were at the party. So she apparently called him, come get me. He says, now these are all in his words because I wasn't at the party. So in his interview with one of the cops, he says, I was at work. Here's the text. She was screaming mad, wanted me to come and get her right away, had to leave. So he got there, went in, had a drink. She went out and waited in the car. And then she apparently, one of the girls went out that was involved in the situation and she told her, your boyfriend's a rapist. And I don't think we can say that word, but I did.
You can say
So
sexual assault. That's, I mean, that I think they allow
essay.
that.
Okay. So your boyfriend's not so much essayed me, but is one. And apparently they had a little to do about that. That got into girl fight. And then Dustin saw no need to rush because girl fight can happen out there. He's having a drink. And he said that I stayed to have a drink. Then he
Wait, so
brought
hold on.
one.
So Andra said, was Andra has said that the boyfriend was an essayer, right?
The boyfriend's best friend, who was this girl's boyfriend.
Right. Okay, got it. Okay.
We'll call him Waffles because that's a nickname.
Okay.
So, so she says in the car to Dustin, we have to go. This is his story. We have to go. And he says, no, he has to straighten it out because, you know, and he says, not that I don't believe you, but like I have to hear that from him and blah, blah, blah. So they start to drive away. And apparently he stopped at the gas station. I think someone had to pee and she got out and just left. So he said, well, so I finished my beer, the beer I had in my car. So he proceeds to finish his beer, throws it out in the trash can. He says, maybe he thought there was a camera there. And then he sees her. So then she starts giving him the finger. And I'm like, oh my God, what's happening, right? This is his story. So she gets in the car. She starts calling him names. He's angry. You're going back to this place. I'm taking you back to this place. And she says, not fucking happening. So
Right.
then the piece that we don't know is what happens there. And then the piece goes to a few people call 911 because there's a domestic disturbance inside a vehicle.
Hmm.
So it went from, yeah, there's a fight in the street in a vehicle to now there's a fight on the street to come now, step it up, right? Because now she's down on the road, right? So the cops that day were at a police protest because that's pretty big news. And one of the guys on the police on body thing says, well, there's no press because they're all at the police protest. And it's almost like, are you guys deciding right here and now, because you can't be held accountable, that this is just going to stop? And I have to say, there was a lot of, oh my God, sorry about that. There was a lot of policemen there that day. And when you're watching their on body cams, some of them you're like, yeah, buddy, you got it. You got it. Because someone said, this story's not adding up. So the cops told us she fell. She fell. She was chasing the car and she fell. So we thought, she didn't drop from the sky, right? There's not a chance of that. So, like, I don't
She
know. She
fell and
wasn't
she just died.
died, died. Which actually, my lawyer said that can happen. You know, he said I knew a guy that fell off his bike and died, but that's not this. Like
I've
that,
I've never I've never heard that of a person
the
just
odd
falling.
crazy fall,
Yeah.
but that's not this. So that's the story they wanted us to go with, and the cops were, when they called, they were rude about it. When I called, he said, look, I can't give you any more than I told your husband the other day. I said, well, first of all, we're not married, haven't talked to him in a long time. Give me what you got. And he kind of insinuated that he couldn't tell me much, but when he told me the whole story, I was going to understand. And, that was enough for me for a minute to go, oh, okay, something really weird happened here, right? So I'm not going to I'm just going to wait and let it roll out. Well, they made us wait we ordered the autopsy report.
Mhm.
Um, and we got this really short, it seemed like a summary, and not like our thing was like, how you get the little diagram that shows you where the
Yeah.
injuries are. So we want to know what happened, right? Maybe we don't have to look at the morgue pictures if we could look at this. That did come. So I called the medical examiner and I said, can I order like the full report? And she said, oh yeah. And I said, okay, cool. Because I thought I just had a summary. And she said, hang on a second. And she looks and she goes, oh, no. What you have, what your lawyer got for you is the full report. And I always pull the, I know things are different in Canada, but kind of here you need to have, she doesn't care. So then I did ask her a few questions and I said, I just wanted to know a couple things. I said, a part of this is that Dustin says that she was fighting with him and scratched him. Like, was there anything under her nails? Because it doesn't say there was in her little report. And she was like, well, there must not have been if it doesn't say it. Okay.
Makes
And
me
was
wonder if it's even checked.
Well, you know what? Usually when you look up stuff, it says that really it's a big thing about when you're doing that report. If you don't state it, it didn't happen. And like do it right because then you're defending it in court when you could have it done that day. Like, and I know this is Canadian and it's a little bit different, but so then I asked, did she have a rape kit done? Because that seemed to be kind of a big part of the case. And she just like put down the phone and like had to come back a minute later and say, no. I said, well, wasn't this presented as a DV case? Like, that's no, she said. So I'm just like, it's like I'm stuck in the weirdest movie ever.
So the autopsy was it just like, was it done in Canada or was it done in
No, it was
Washington?
done in Seattle. We had to have it done there, right? Um, and there's questions around that. So we got, and maybe it's our initial thing was that they called from the place where you donate your eyes, which I'm sorry, I should know what it's called, but, and you kind of go, oh, yeah, you can have her eyes. Why? Did something happen kind of thing? So, like, that night was so shocky that I don't even know what happened, but all I know is cops didn't call and the hospital didn't call. So we knew to call and find out what was going on. So then she was a complete donor. And I thought, well, all her papers are signed. She da da da. So no, they didn't donate anything, which I thought was kind of strange. But then someone along the way, which just a friend of a friend, oh, if it's a homicide, no, they're not going to. it's not about that. It's not about transplant time if it's a homicide. Oh, okay. I didn't know that. So I thought, okay, so obviously it's a homicide now. No, no. So when the cop called me probably 3 weeks after, because he's stressed that he's very busy and he had 8 other cases to work on. And I said, okay, yeah, that's cool. And he said, I mean, it's a tragic accident. I understand. And I was like, stop saying that. Oh my God, you're going to kill their mother, right? So then when he finally called and he goes, it is an accident. I said, oh, good. So we got the medical report back. Well, no, not yet. But so it's like, stop trying to cram it down my throat.
So what are they basing it off of, saying because what were her actual injuries?
Oh, wow. Horrific. Like horrific. So, yeah, we had to go all the way to see the morgue photos, which no one wants to see that, but it's like this, they're making this sound so whatever. And we had a video that a 10-year-old boy filmed. 10.
You mean at the accident scene?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's awesome. I feel great for him. I'm just horrified at that thought too. So we knew right then, it's like, this is a really bad thing, because I would help out a stray dog in the middle of a road more than he was helping her at the time. So we knew it was bad. Then when we found out the injuries were, like, let's say the ambulance got there any faster, doesn't matter. When this happened, she was gone. And
it was like an instant death, essentially.
Really bad. And it's like, it says rare, basal. I forget exactly what kind of break it is. They liken it to a lot of race car drivers that go too fast and snap their neck. So it's all neck. So we start looking up these injuries, which you're just, it's all Latin to me. Friends, people, nurses, and they're just like, oh my God, like, these are horrific injuries. So he ran over her. And like, when we see her back in her picture, there's a tire mark on it. So we start back with, like, can we look into their relationship? Because this is like an extreme weird thing happening. And then they started to shut us down. Like, you know what? We don't really have the time. Like, and like I said, Buddy said to me, I have 8 cases on my desk. I have to go break bad news all afternoon. And I said, well, that's not my problem.
So are they saying that he accidentally ran her over?
Well, he actually said in the interview, and they kind of went with, he didn't run her over. He didn't hit her with the car, he said.
Even though she had a tire impression across her back.
Yeah.
And okay. So what are, like, I don't understand what's the reason for them to not, like, hey, she has a tire impression across her back. Clearly she came into contact with
something bad happened, and it wasn't about, yeah. There was actually someone at the scene that saw it when we listened through, when they give you police on body cams, it's hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, right? Yeah. So really, your brain can only take so many before you just like go, oh my, I can only watch this so many times from so many angles. But we see this guy who was telling, his biggest thing was he went over her head. And his English wasn't great, but he said, anyone can call me. I speak French. I saw it, blah, 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 blah. They passed this guy over to us as this guy didn't want to get involved. No number. So it was like, I saw things happening with the cop who's trying to put it together. Hold up. He didn't just pull out of here at 10. He peeled out. Like, this could be rage. And where are those cops? They didn't count. It all landed on this one dude who just... So then the guy, no one met Andy, no one saw Andy. I shouldn't say met Andy. No one saw Andy, because by the time the cops really got there, she's in an ambulance. So they're talking about she was unresponsive. Oh, was she high? Was she drunk? Oh, I don't know. She was unresponsive. And you can tell they're going on she was falling down. She'll be fine. And then they're quite shocked when they go over to the ambulance and say, like, what's going on? And one guy goes, she's not going to make it. And he's shocked. So then you see him kind of looking into it. No, don't let this guy go, because the other guy's ready to let Dustin go. Sure, go ahead. Go home. You said you were a good guy. We'll take it. Dustin didn't call 911. Dustin didn't call 911. Other people did.
And if I remember correctly, at the scene, he appeared to be just like totally normal, very calm.
Hmm?
And he had picked up her phone.
He picked up her phone.
There's a photo of him holding her phone, isn't there?
Absolutely. And by the cop's foot. And she's just laying there and it's smashed and you can tell it flew out of her little hand. And he goes by and he swoops down and picks it up. Done. Calls her grandmother with the phone, because why wouldn't you call the elderly lady that really doesn't have the mental capacity to deal with any of these things, and said, well, it was an accident and blah, blah, blah. And she was like, oh, okay. And kind of talked to it like, oh, well, right. Like, it was an accident. What more can you say if you really think it's an accident? Well, what, right? So she kind of backtracked the case a tiny bit because the cops, I think, then thought, you know what? No one cares about this kid. Meanwhile, we're like, well, maybe if you called us.
Right. Maybe if you call the people that actually care about her.
Right. But
and so Dustin was at one point interviewed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And from what I understand, he told initially that he hadn't been drinking.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he said.
On the scene, he said he hadn't been drinking. When they pulled up, any alcohol involved? No. Her included.
Then they found out he was.
No. Oh, in fact, there was. But he
Yeah.
didn't tell till the next guy got him, right?
So he lies to police about not having alcohol in his system. He's now involved in a vehicle incident where a woman is now dead who was his passenger. And then they later find out he was in fact drinking.
Mm-hmm.
And he is still not being treated as a suspect of anything.
No, he walked out that night. They show as he walks out of his little interview room. And then another cop who has nothing to do with any of these things, doesn't see her on the road, doesn't go that day to see, holy shit, this is weird, doesn't watch the video because he assures me he's a good guy. How do you know that? He said, we grilled him for 3 hours.
Oh,
fast forward a few weeks, and I said, well, I'm ordering that video. I want to see it. And I said, did you watch the video? He said, no, it's 3 hours. So he went on notes from the first cop. Like, it was just, no, you guys are saying this out loud. Be smarter. What is happening?
They don't want to do their job is what it sounds like.
Right?
It sounds like it's just too much work. There's
so many bad things happening, which I didn't realize, because why would I? Here in Canada, that Seattle Police Department is going crazy. And at the time, the chief of police was leaving because they were racist, they were sexist. She was scared that they weren't going to back her up on calls. So she leaves, writes a book about how terrible it is. Carmen Best, she's awesome. And then they have an interim police chief who we hear this guy talking to him, and he's trying to figure out, I don't know what's going on here. And the police chief said, any press? No. Any people? No. Everybody's at the police protest. And like I said, that seemed to be the end of it. Well, let's shut this down, shall we?
Someone just asked me, is Dustin related to anyone in...
Well, that's the big question. That's the big question that we all wondered always, right? But I mean, so far, no connections. Like, his dad seems to be someone that could possibly know other people. I can't really speak to that because I don't need any hassle. But I mean, he's not a nobody. He's not a nobody. Let's just put it that way. And we did kind of find out because, people do like true crime. People do enjoy a true crime moment. He had multiple charges before, DUI, tens of thousands of dollars in fines. This is Dustin. And I'm thinking, maybe, just maybe, he shouldn't be driving. Like, he's not good at it.
So the guy who has a history of driving drunk, the guy who has a criminal history of driving drunk, is then in a car with his girlfriend. They get into a fight. He is drunk in the car, essentially. She ends up dead on the road right by his car. And they that's to me, it's like someone must have done something for him
Oh,
in terms of
absolutely,
like
right? Absolutely. Like you
connecting
want to
with
think
them.
like Uncle so and so came through and said
Yeah.
no. And as a matter of fact, so one of the cops that didn't deal with me dealt with Andy's dad. He phoned Andy's dad sort of on the side and said, I'm calling on behalf of the family, Dustin's family. Um, Watch what you say on social media because our laws are very strict here in the States. So Andy's dad, who, as he says, lucky I have a picture on my Facebook, like is not a poster. I start thinking, what did I post? Oh my God, because I was being so careful. I had to wait it out, right? I had to wait to get the stuff from the cops to be able to say, like, oh my God, this is what I have. I can't suppose. Um, so after all this is an accident, we call the OPA, which is the Office of Police Accountability, and we're going to lodge this complaint. And part of it was that this cop, Cooper, called my ex-husband and said, you can't be on social media and blah, blah, blah. So please look into that. Please look into the fact that we sent you things that you did not look into. You didn't check into his day whatsoever. You didn't go back to the house where she was at, which is all sketchy, possibly SA'd there. Don't really know, right?
And police know about that allegation, right? About the sexual assault allegation.
They didn't know until they got him back to the interview, which means only Cooper knew. So the good cops, it seems, right there on the street, no, they had no idea of that. They were very like,
And so
this is
this
not.
was Dustin's friend, who allegedly
Let's call him Waffles.
Waffles, allegedly
Hmm.
sexually assaulted Andra, possibly, allegedly.
Hmm.
And from what I remember, that guy's girlfriend was defending him, correct?
Yes.
So
She
she was
said,
saying no, he didn't do that.
she said she's getting tired of this trend. People blaming Waffles for raping them. Like, you
Wait, I'm
can't
sorry.
write this.
Friend?
You can't write this. And so I know my daughter, of course, she said, oh my God, grow a brain cell. Like, I'm sure that didn't go well. Like, that's just it. There's more to just that.
So wait,
Did
he
the
has a
essay
history
happen that
of doing
day?
this?
Maybe not.
He has a
Okay.
history of doing that?
Yes, but we can't find anything that is what his girlfriend said.
There,
That is what his
there-
girlfriend had a problem with. These girls saying this about her, about him.
oh, so she's saying she's heard that he has essayed women. She's heard that from other women,
Yeah,
but
she's
she's
tired of that. She's tired of that trend. So they've since broke up. Like, that's the funny thing. Everything went to shit after. She is Dustin's friend. The police write her down as Andra's friend, so and so. And it's like, hold up. That's Dustin's friend of 15 years. His ex girlfriend, not Andra's friend. Not Andra's
oh, she's
friend.
she's Dustin's ex girlfriend too.
Yeah. And
Oh, gee.
I think that's what that comment meant. Like, I would say Waffles took her from Dustin because Andra says something. They said that Andra said, well, it seems to work for him, doesn't it? So I'm like, oh yeah, she painted a picture there.
And so, okay, so then Andra would have told that to Dustin, this whole scenario,
Mhm.
and he didn't want to believe it because that was Dustin's friend, or
His answer is, well, he's an asshole, but like, he's not
not a.
that. And she was like, okay, so then just like take me home kind of thing, right? So, and nope, nope, nope. Like I said, it started there. So she got out. No, he got out first. So then she got out and he thought, fuck her. He says he got in, didn't even shut the car door. She came around. Well, here's another little tidbit that I know. When she got out and he's about to peel away, in the wallet, she had a little fanny pack on. She had $2 and something in that. So her purse, you can see it in the car. And he's about to like drive off. So I thought I might chase that a little tiny bit too. Like, you were about to leave her in a gross neighborhood with like what, $2 and around the corner from a rapist place. Like, so yeah, of course. anyway, somehow she's down and he's over her. And we don't know if he hit her a couple times or because it's just not.
What was his explanation about what happened to her?
He said that she came around. He figures that she was trying to grab the door and whoa, fell over. Like a Scooby-Doo fall. Fred Flintstone fall. Whoa, right?
So she just fell and then just died.
Bled out. Bad fall.
And that's just like, and these grown adult police officers just believed that.
Who didn't see her. And then the funny thing is, we watched the homicide cops are coming. They're like hours later, just as the sky opens up. And I'm like, you know what? That's washing all the blood off the street so they don't even get to go, this is a nightmare here. No, it was a big boom and flood that day.
Did they take any crime scene photos there?
Of her in the everything. Street? I got all of it. Yeah, absolutely.
They did photograph her in the street.
Yes.
And where was his car in relation to her when they got there?
Ahead of her. Like I think it was. They said 50 paces or something. I don't know what that adds up to, but
was in front of her. Which would imply that car went through her, or she went over the car, or whatever the case, or under the car.
Yeah, and there was track marks, like so you could see that it was a speed situation. And one cop goes, "Well, they could be old, though." I was like, "Oh my god, why wouldn't they be old?" At the end of a car that's right there that just killed a woman in the street.
They're making excuses basically as to like why they don't want to investigate a certain thing.
Yeah. And I understand
from my experience, like these types of cases are always like, they always say are the hardest ones to solve because it's hard to prove a particular, skid mark on the road. And when it happened, it's hard to like know the speed in which something happened if you're not collecting everything immediately from the scene.
They did do a lot. I was quite surprised when I saw, like, it took hours. They spent hours at the scene and probably a dozen cops. They even did these Faro measurements. I don't know what it means, but when I looked it up, it's like, oh, you have to have the equipment to determine. I guess that's like this car went this fast and stopped, whatever, but wasn't important enough to, like, do that. And the OPA basically told us this was the bottom line of the OPA. These are trained officers. These are officers worth of salt. But obviously, they're going to have to do a little retraining in the DV thing. So what they didn't do was pass it on to the correct department that actually follows it up like it should be. Instead of like, hey, you seem like a nice guy. Have a good barbecue.
I swear, these people frustrate the hell out of me, and I'm not even like. And you're her mom, and I'm just like, it's just like that's how are they doing Andra any service whatsoever by just saying, he's a nice guy, and she just fell and died, like that doesn't
miraculously. And then so the autopsy as well, like her organs are shiny and everything's great, and it's like okay, cool. So I guess she just.
Yeah. What did they list as her cause of death?
A severe brain trauma. It was all about her head.
Severe brain trauma from falling and dying.
Yeah, from running. I know. And you know what? There's people that are going to go, how are you laughing about this? But it's like, listen, dude, this is how. Like, if we were watching this in a movie, I would go, click, crazy. Who wrote this? John Candy? Like, what is happening?
Yeah. I'm laughing at the stupidity.
I would have. It's worth laughing at.
It's insane.
And there's just so many, and every time there's a new weird thing that you're like, oh my God, they didn't do that right either. That's so cool.
I just don't understand how they can knowingly write down severe brain injury or head trauma or whatever, and in the same breath, without laughing at themselves, saying, But and what led to that was she fell down.
It's
And not like fell down a flight of stairs or fell down off a roof. She was standing on the street and
yeah.
fell down. And
With
that's what killed
with the
her.
tiniest little sneakers on, like the flattest little kids, right? Like you can see it. Unfortunately, you can see her little feet, and I'm just going, "Oh, she didn't have even big shoes on," because I'm like picturing all these things, right?
And she's petite too, right? Like she's like a smaller girl,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
that even adds more to it of like of,
Oh,
of just
yeah,
like falling.
exactly. Right. Oh no, she's 800 pounds and kind of fell down a
Right.
step and broke everything. No, like I said, I'm sure that could happen, but no, 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 definitely not.
So where is it now? Where is this case now? Is it did they close it
It was
or
closed right away.
hmm,
Um, so we did get a civil lawyer in the beginning because you have to get anything because I put in for different reports and then of course surprise they don't talk to you. But then when the lawyer does, you get a little bit faster. Um, so everybody was, oh, you should sue him civilly. Okay, so all that goes is how much insurance do you have on your car? And it's the minimum, which I didn't think you could have such a minimum, but anyway, because we thought, let's hope it's enough that we can get a criminal lawyer to
mhm.
talk about this, right? Because civil said, I can't take you any further, but you have so much further to go. But I can't get you there. I can get you the stuff. The insurance
Yeah,
company just went here and signed the check. The insurance company didn't even question anything, which I'm kind of thinking it was kind of clear to them that he was in the wrong, right? Because don't insurance companies really not want to do that?
correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, oh no, they signed that. Oh. And my thing was, I wanted him to fight it because I wanted him questioned again because I
Yeah.
guarantee he'd have a different story this time, but it didn't get to that because they just no here and like I said,
So are you currently in the process of trying to sue him civilly, or is that
that's done. That was right away, and that went nowhere. That's very nominal, and it was like, you know what? We gave it to Andy's brothers and sister. So, and it's
did you
nothing.
do
I
it?
don't I
Was it
don't mean
a
it's nothing, but we
wrongful
couldn't.
was it a wrongful death lawsuit you filed?
It was all we could do, I guess, was sue his insurance. That's what this was about. Because our thing was we needed to have this lawyer to, especially with Seattle, stay on them. Well, he was a lawyer in Seattle, obviously, to get these police records because he said as soon as you get the on body camera, like that's what you need to have, right? But no, they weren't giving them up for me. Well, it'll take years. Oh, yeah, that's great. Um, so yeah, there was a settlement. It was from the insurance company. Basically, what I was told is, well, he has nothing, and da da da. And it's like you do know this isn't about money, but it's like it would have been great to be able to go into a criminal thing. We don't have the cash to get the criminal lawyer to go after who the cops. That's massive, right?
Yeah,
Like
no. So
I just
in
want,
I've covered many cases where they couldn't pursue for whatever reason pursue like a homicide actual trial, but instead they're able to the victim's family can file a wrongful death lawsuit against who they believe is the person responsible for the death, and they can be found liable for it and they can end up paying money for it. But that's one way of like finding a person guilty of a crime, but
yeah.
they wouldn't go to they don't go to prison for it
No,
because it's
no,
a
of course. It's
lawsuit.
just a
So
fine or it's a,
right.
yeah.
And it's more of like that it's more of like the principle of the matter of like, hey, he's been found liable for this death. And that might sometimes it helps jumpstart into like
Anything
a
else. And
okay,
that's the bottom line is we just had to jumpstart something. So it was like, we're not from the States. So everybody was, my friends from the States, like, got to get a lawyer. You have to. I thought, why? I didn't do anything. What are you talking about? Because they have to fight on your behalf because, yeah. Um, and like I said, he just kind of thought, oh my God. And he looked into a couple things. Like I said, he goes, this guy was stopped for speeding 4 months after this.
oh,
Like, right? So I'm like, what can we do? So yeah, like I said, to sue his insurance company, we got that money. that money went towards the lawyer mostly, but
Right.
and it wasn't. And I hate to say numbers, but it's like it wasn't a lot, right? So you're just going, okay, cool. Now what, right? And at least we talked to a professional that said, "Oh, this is bad. This is crazy. I can't." But like I said, it can't go any further with you. So then our thing is, as soon as we talk to a couple people in the media, like we're kind of media people, so they're like, well, do you know anyone in Seattle? Basically, the bottom line is like, there's death and murder in Seattle every day. Like, this is not a
It's
big
everywhere.
story. Yeah, everywhere. But Seattle now is like just boom, and Seattle's just falling apart. Like, they lost one of their precincts to the people a couple years ago, right? Like, they took it over, and I was like, well, never heard of that before. So you've definitely keeping this together, aren't you? Right? So yeah. And you see,
So
I just know there's so many moms that get this call that, oh, it's an accident. And you're thinking, that's funny because Buddy's a little bit of a woman beater, right? Like, are you just closing this because you don't want to?
did anything ever come out afterwards about there being a domestic violence issue in the past with them?
Just different friends that had texts and like myself that had texts of like, you knew things weren't good. You know what I mean? You
Mhm.
can't say, oh, he said no, but it was like, no, things are not smooth.
Right.
Things are not smooth.
But
Um,
like violence wasn't like she never mentioned like direct physical violence
no,
before. No.
no, definitely not. Definitely not. And they say like domestic violence stats went up over COVID because a lot of people were stuck home with their significant other that maybe they don't
Yeah.
like so much, right?
Yeah.
Maybe they just decided that, oh my God, when I'm at work, this is so much easier. But
Yeah.
so they were kind of stuck together at a weird time. And I know she wanted to come home. Um, and then she was nervous to come home. So yeah, she stayed, and yeah.
Was she nervous to leave him or nervous to
I'm not quite sure. Like I was like, you know what? She was nervous to come home. So I'm thinking, is that nervous to fly in the airport because we were still all freaked out about COVID? Because I was kind
right?
of like way more freaked out than I am now, right? About
Yeah.
COVID going, oh my God, I can't go anywhere with these people.
Yeah. Yeah.
People are very dirty. Holy shit. Um, so I don't know. And we know she had a fight in July. He says they had a fight in July because did this ever happen before? And he says, oh, yeah, they had a pretty good one in July. And I'm thinking, so a pretty good one. How does that stack up against like she's dead now? And how does
Mhm.
like please come to the DV call not turn into, oh, wow, man down? I guess you won. You got to go right to jail.
Were police ever called to where they lived?
No,
No. Okay.
no. Why would that happen? They went like this. We were over there. And the cop goes, "Hmm." Like they didn't care. They did call. There's a girl named Kaylee that's Dustin's ex-girlfriend. They do call her. And of course, one of the fun things is we have all these audio calls. We have everyone's audio calls. So everyone says, I said this, no, I didn't. And she was very hateful. And I just want to put it like mean girly that day because you know what? Well, she was tough to anyway, and she couldn't hold her liquor. And sometimes that's what happens. And I'm thinking, your friend's dead and you're posting, oh, my favorite baby butterfly, I can't believe this is happening. You're like, so these people are, wow, like it's all sketchy, all
They were
sketchy.
they were almost victim blaming Andra, it sounds like.
100% she got victim blamed the whole way around. Well, she was drunk. And, then I had to process like when they did the toxicology, no, she wasn't drunk. She had a couple drinks. Um,
Was
People
she
said like,
above or like was she above the limit? I mean, she wasn't
She
driving,
was.
so
She was above the limit, and that's just it. She wasn't driving, and it's like,
right.
you know what though? She could have a couple drinks. There's people. I'd have one. I'd
Allowed-
be laying
yeah.
on the floor, but she can drink.
You're allowed to be above the limit if you're not driving, so
Well,
there's
that's
nothing
just
wrong
it.
with
And
it.
do you know
Yeah.
what? You're just not allowed to run over the drunkest person in the road anyway. Even if it was like, you
Correct.
know what? But he said a mean thing, and he was drunk, so I ran him over.
Yeah, you
Right?
get that justification of like, well, she was drunk or she was whatever. So it's like, what does that mean? Does
Well, that's
she
just
deserve it?
it.
Like, what does that
Yeah.
mean?
Right. And I had someone kind of snap my head off in a beautiful way because they were like, no, that doesn't matter. Stop saying that. But I said, well, they clung to it so much. Well, she was drunk. And
Yeah,
it was like, the fact is, he was drunk. He was driving the vehicle. He did something strange to make her die.
correct. And that's and
And
they're just like, bah,
yeah,
right.
she fell. She fell.
Yeah, she fell.
Tragic. And
Mhm.
my ex-husband had said to them, buddy, you're lucky I'm not in your city. You'd see my face every day at the police station. And I thought that's exactly the way they're thinking. Well, we're not seeing these guys. We couldn't even fly back then. We couldn't do
Right.
anything,
All
right?
this
So
stuff
here we
going
are
on.
waiting for their calls, right?
I guarantee you they took advantage of that. The fact that you
They
guys couldn't travel.
they rolled with that 100%, right? Oh,
And then
yes.
it kind of just slowly
We have
fizzled out.
never we have never heard from Dustin. Never. So there's no like, I loved her so much. Oh yeah, whatever. We have never heard from him. So he's telling her, I was gonna ask her to marry me. And we're like, what? No, you weren't. What? No. Someone would have known that. Someone would have
Yeah.
known that. And if that was true, where's her memorial? Did you do one? Cool. Did you have a little thing for it? Oh, you didn't? Right, because you're a liar.
Did he ever even like post anything to like social
No,
media
no, he
about,
disappeared. He disappeared off social media. I'm sure he has another name somewhere, but no, his stuff dropped off.
wow. And
That's
then
not.
okay, so I have another question. I know because we talked about the indigenous aspect. Do you think police may have stopped caring when they found out she was?
Unfortunately, yes. And you know what? Like I said, I always go back to, you hate to think that, but it was so early in the interview. I feel like Buddy went, oh, okay. Like, I don't give a fuck what you're saying anymore. I just got my out, and the
And
press wasn't there.
it's not even a far-fetched thing to be like, well, that's not possible. It is possible. It happens all the time. Like I
Unfortunately.
have a whole bunch of stories that I've covered where this exact thing happens, where they find out, oh, they're indigenous. Oh man, we'll figure it out sometime.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
kind of like
Not important. Not important.
it's like they just suddenly they hear it and they're like, oh, okay. It's the equivalent of saying, oh, she was drunk. Eh, it's yeah,
Absolutely.
it's the same thing.
And we had friends of hers that told us that Dustin had scrubbed his social media like a couple of weeks before all this. So, because, the conspiracy mind goes, what a cool time to kill someone when there's a police protest and every cop is there, right? Because cops take a long time to get there.
Yeah.
And really, you can tell, no, you can't. That's me just supposing. But I mean, he looked like he didn't care, I guess is all I can say. I can't say how he felt, but he didn't care. And his first line was very like, we were fighting and she grabbed my neck. I thought, oh my God. Like I've found
Okay, so
dead cats and said more things than that, right? Like, oh my God.
he's crafting a self-defense story, and that's a sign of guilt.
Yeah,
If he immediately says, "Oh, she grabbed for my neck," and that was just a way of like
that's the first
of
thing.
justifying what he did.
Absolutely. And one cop said to one of the cops, why is he here? It is not right that he's sitting in this crime scene for this long. That's not right, man. So they didn't want to put him in the car because he had a little bit of blood on his hand and he was a biohazard.
Oh my God! Oh, because of
He
COVID.
sat there. And he didn't even sit there. He made a bunch of phone calls. He walked around. He was calling people, having friends over. Couldn't call 911 though. Couldn't get his phone open. Called
Did
her
you ever get her?
grandmother.
Did you ever get her phone back or no?
No, of course not. With nothing. Her passport. The
It's
only
never been
thing we
local.
got of hers is what she had on her body that day because the funeral home goes, these go to the parents.
Yeah.
And I said, where's her purse? Where's her, well, phone was my biggest thing because I thought, I know we can pull up arguments on here that you're going to see that this is not good.
And the fact that he is literally on the photo with her phone.
On the police photos that you took, it's like, oh, here's your picture that you took. And they're
These are your photos, guys.
right?
But that clearly means he probably took it to erase whatever he could erase.
Right? Well, this is it.
Maybe she texted him. Maybe she texted him about this potential, sexual assault. Maybe she mentioned all that. and it's
You
just
know
all
how
you
you
know.
go through phones, so the police goes through his phone at the police station, and he literally rolls back from, okay, here's when you're coming to get her, it's 4 o'clock. And look at this, at noon, everything's okay. So yeah, she kind of twisted up on you. And I thought, you went back 4 hours in the life of a domestic violence call for,
And made their decision based on
and that's
that.
it. Oh my God, well, we've got it. Bingo, let's go. You're good. Right on. Let's go say hi to your old man. Like, what?
It's because it takes effort to like go and get like warrants to search a phone and to like because you have to have more than you have to have a warrant to like take a person's phone and pull
Absolutely,
data
right?
from it. And so they can politely request that he gives them their phone so they can scroll through it, but they can't do much else other than that.
He had to bring it in and he passed it to Dustin, who unlocked it and then had
Yeah.
to lock it again, right? He had her iPad too. We knew that for a bit because one of her accounts stayed open and switched up a little bit. And it was like, pretty sure she didn't do that from the other side, try as she
No.
might. But,
Yeah.
right, so I thought kind of disrespectful. And really, for a boyfriend, it was an OnlyFans account. And I thought, okay, well, I'm sure he'll close that down, right? Because his girlfriend's dead. And then I happened to look once and it was like, oh my God, he changed prices and did all these weird things. And his last sign in is months after she died. So I had to get that taken down because I
Wait,
thought like
was he making money off of that? He was
she
raising
was
the prices to
she wasn't. No, he lowered the price. He lowered the price.
lower them. Oh, what a good guy! Wow.
Yeah, well, that's just it. Like none of that is good.
None of it is.
And everybody, I have to say, she had so many people that loved her all over the world. Like I had weird facts from all these people going, do you know about this account? No. Okay, well, she does this. She was an artist. She sang. She rapped on this. She did this on that. Oh my God. So they sent me all this stuff. And then when we saw the OnlyFans, I was like, okay, cool. I should probably shut that down, right? I actually talked to some of the guys on it
Hmm.
because they were so sure that she wasn't dead. I had a lot of people say to me, did she just do like social media suicide and just didn't want to talk to anybody anymore? I was like, no,
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 she's
that's not what her ashes say behind me here.
yeah.
No. So, and
Wow.
people said the same thing, like, what? Oh my God, this changed. Look at this. And they'd send me the old one and they'd send me yeah, someone wrote, look at this dead girl's bones is actually what it says. But the cops saw that. I showed that to the cops.
Still nothing. So what? They think a dead person just logs in and changes information and
Obviously so. Obviously she
God,
did. Yeah. And their thing is, here's the answer I got twice. Anything you do about this isn't going to change the outcome for you. And I said, it is though, because I don't want anyone else to get a call that their daughter is missing or murdered or dismembered. And you guys don't give a shit.
yeah. If this guy killed her, sounds like he did, allegedly.
Right?
Uh, that's a sign of hey, he can do it again,
And
and
that's kind
that's
of what I think. If you get away with something like that, isn't that kind of a proven thing? Like that's going to happen. Maybe
yep.
it already did, but who knows?
That's the birth of a serial killer. Typically, is when they get away with
Absolutely.
the first one. It's like, oh, I
And
could do this.
I appreciate that calling the parents would be really awful to have to do, but it's not like you'd have to call. You could kind of drop a little text or a little email and say, shit, sorry about that day. That went nothing.
Yeah,
Not a, that kind
that's
of
a
tells you, right? Right there. So,
yeah, especially if
and
he's innocent.
well, this is it. So then now finally, like the police have a new chief of police. He was an interim for a bit. So we kind of had to wait for a bit because, okay, no one's doing anything at this point. They're too busy putting fires out every day.
Hmm.
Um, and basically, I had one fabulous reporter from the Seattle Times tell me, you know what, you have to just build people, build a voice, because, you can't say me and my four pieces of family are very upset. right? Build a voice, because this story doesn't get old. Cops wronging a girl doesn't get old.
Right.
Someone hurting their girlfriend, no, we'll stop you if it's now or later. I just want anyone else to look them up on Google and go, oh, that guy's shit. No thanks.
Yeah.
Swipe, right? Like, don't go
Yeah.
near them.
Like, I have no problem shaming the person. I have no issues with that. I mean,
No, right? That's what I mean. So, like, it's just not, anyway. So
it's like
it's
if
a
people
tough
know
thing
who he
because
is, if
well, they're
people know who
walking
he is, they
around
won't
when
shame him.
we're so mad, and they're just walking around having a day, and it's like, that's what's frustrating.
Yeah.
And there's people that don't know. Like, is he dating someone that would go like, oh my God, you killed your ex-girlfriend? That's big news. I would like to know that.
Yeah, that's something I would want to know. If my
Yeah.
my current, lover or whatever is potentially a killer, I
Oh,
kind
so
of want to know that.
you were angry. Oh, I see.
Oh, so you have anger issues, and you suddenly and your girlfriends just fall down from the standing on the ground and they die.
Yes,
Okay.
right. Absolutely. Yes, she fell in the road a little bit after a fight. Yeah. Let's go meet
Oh,
my friend Waffles. Right? Like,
yeah,
yeah, that's good.
that's why it's important. Like your TikTok page. By the way, to those who are watching, please go follow Justice for Andra's page. But it's important that you continue to post stuff about it,
Absolutely.
because the people in his life might see it and might go, "Oh shit, I know
Absolutely.
him."
At
And
first, it's a tough thing to post about. And then at first, I had a few girls write and say, I didn't even know Andra, and I left my boyfriend because blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking, oh, we win right there. Like, if
yeah,
one girl didn't get beat to death, right on. So I think that's kind of a good thing, too, for people to go, oh, bad
it's
behavior can end really badly.
yeah. And I know there's a lot of women out there who have it's impossible to leave these scenarios because they're afraid to.
I get it. Yeah.
But if it's in a situation where you're noticing the signs early before any violence maybe happens, but you hear stories like Andra's and they can go, oh shit, well, here are some red flags.
Right.
Maybe I get out of this now before it's too late.
Well, that's just it. And I like with the advent of TikTok that we can talk about these things. Like, I've never seen so much about weird, narcissistic personality disorder, blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking, oh my God, oh no, 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 right? So you can discuss like these are really bad red flags, not a
Yeah.
little bit, right?
Yeah.
Because everyone always falls into the, you don't know them, they're really nice. No, they've already shown you the circus of flags, right? Go back.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. No, TikTok's I have a very back and forth relationship with TikTok myself, but it's also at the same time a very, very, very good platform for this exact thing.
Well, it is, and it's great for what you do too, right? Because that's just it. People really need it. And I think that series of talking to loved ones is awesome because we're never going to drive someone crazy. Can you listen to my story? But we need to have them out there, right? So
Yeah.
you're awesome, super approachable. We love you. That's
Yeah.
everybody. Oh, I love Mikey. Yes, I know him. I'm like, right on.
Yeah, no, I should have done something like this a long time ago, but it took someone kind of kicking me in the butt to finally oh, okay, I should do this. This is a good idea. Just to give voices to the victims through their family members, because you never know. You never know who might see this. You never know who might. Because I'm going to tell you, there is no. I'm not sure how it is in Canada. I'm sure it's the same, but this happened in the United States, so there's no statute of limitations on murder here, meaning that they can always charge him with murder.
Always. One thing about when we watch true crime things and they say 8 years ago and 9 years ago, and that's so frustrating. But to me now, it's like, you know what, though? I don't care what year it is. I would like it to be sooner than later. But it does take, right? It takes time, and I understand that. Right. And that takes, justice takes time sometimes, and we know that. So
a simple matter of getting the right police officer to get a job there, the right detective to get a job there.
Absolutely, right? Like they do on the shows, right? And someone goes, "This is terrible," and reopen. But I think that our goal is to basically try to make enough noise and then maybe construct a letter. And I'm not sure who to send it to, but I feel like I would CC a whole bunch of people. So someone might go, fuck, she wrote everybody.
What you do is you not only do you try to get this to like the police itself, but you also send it to your local, senators, congresspeople. Like, as much as probably most of them won't even acknowledge or respond to it, you still might get someone who does.
Well,
And
like
if
I
it
said,
takes
you
some,
hope that someone's going to go, ugh, they sent this to so many people. Like, we can't all ignore it.
yeah, and that's another reason why you have platforms like this, because the larger the following you build up, and the more people that know about Andra's story,
Yeah.
the more vocal it gets, the wider it gets, then the
Oh,
police will feel
absolutely.
they'll feel
Absolutely.
pressure.
Yeah.
Because you'll also have people like just everyday people like us who hear the stories and they'll call the police station for you, or they'll email them, they'll email your senators. And the more people that do that, it just puts pressure on them. And eventually they're gonna have to go, well, shit, now we gotta
Well,
do
what
something.
can we do? Yeah, let's put him out to fry and then get them off us anyway, right? Like, that's just
Yeah.
it. They owe us. I don't mean us. I mean anyone that's in this situation. They owe parents I'm sorry, we fucked this up. Let's relook at this. When
It's
you
a
watch
simple
shows
thing.
and they
Yeah.
always say it's always the husband, and I'm like, no, that's not true. They don't do that. Like, but
Yeah.
not in Seattle.
Yeah. It's and for them to just take a couple of minutes just to look through the file, like, and go, oh, oops, we messed this up.
There's a
Like,
couple
that's
there's a
all it can
couple
take.
bad things. Yeah.
Yeah.
The OPA is so worried about just doing we're good, they're good, you're wrong, you're nothing. They're
Well,
cops. They're good.
the other thing is the more time that goes by, the more worried they become of like, oh, they're gonna sue us too. They're
Absolutely.
like, oh, we squash this, and hopefully no one talks about it. They won't sue us. But that's the other thing, is that helps with platforms like yours and other platforms like this. That if you put pressure on them, they'll be like, shit, we don't want to get sued, so let's.
Let's
They
work
may
on
they
this.
may they may pick up Andra's case for completely selfish reasons,
Yeah.
but it
Well,
doesn't matter because they'll pick it
I'm
up.
down for any reason, right? Any way
Yeah.
that can happen. And that's just it. I feel like this is a time that it's a creative way to figure this out. So let's do it, right? Let's
Yep.
get this internet to be our bitch kind of thing at this point, because there was a time that I wouldn't be like, Mikey, I need to discuss this, so
Yeah.
how cool this is. And I love that TikTok can do this and try to help with finding people, or that's what it's necessary for, right? Not
Yeah.
trolls, right?
Ugh, you're gonna get them. You're gonna get them. You just ignore them.
Oh yeah. Oh my God, I've already had them. I've had people and I'm just like, oh my God, you said that out loud, you poor slob. Like, that's the
Yeah.
good thing. I'm going, of the tens of thousands of people that talked and commented and wrote something or liked it, you had a couple goons that you can count on one hand.
Yeah.
Good
People
one.
there are people out there who just think it's funny to like
Hmm. Be
be
awful.
a troll. Yeah, they may not even truly believe the things they're saying, but they think it's funny to just act that way because no one can see who they are. And
That's
so
just
it's
it.
like, and they don't realize how harmful that is. That could be
Too
really
much
harmful.
keyboard time and not enough getting punched in the mouth time. That's what that is. That's what
Yes.
my grandfather used to say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much.
All right. Well, I don't know if did I ramble on long enough?
No, you're
Probably.
good. No, that was perfect. We did about an hour, so that's good.
Okay. I just can't thank you enough. Like I said over and over, I'm going to be like a broken record on that one, but it just, like I said, this is a slow burn because there's so much, and really your human brain can only take so much trauma of like, oh my God, that's just awful. Um, so it has to go slowly, right? Someone, oh, did you post every day? I can't post every day, dude. This is heart ripping stuff. I
Yeah.
can't. It's like kid, right? So,
Yeah, it's
um,
easy for people like I don't have, I'm not a family member to a victim, so I can post these stories daily because I don't have like that connection.
absolutely. And I can watch stories daily. That's cool. I just don't want to
But
like
for
put
like
mine together.
a
It's
family
like,
member, like
oh,
the victim's mom, like that
yeah.
takes a huge toll to post about it every single day because you're
Well,
like,
I had a friend actually that started me on here, and she was awesome because she did my first two videos for me, and I thought, thank you, because I had no idea. The first night
yeah,
on TikTok, you don't know, and that started. And then I found a couple live people that are awesome still, and that grew the account a bit, right? And I'm pretty careful with my account. I can't have everybody. I have nutty people saying some crazy stuff. So it's like, if you're a real person and maybe a mom, and I don't care if you're selling fizz bombs, no offense, but, or please don't do astrology with me. No.
Right.
Right? Like, after you get through those, no, I don't want $2,000 a month as a sugar daddy's girl. Like, I'm old, right? Anyway, so there.
Yeah. So I will, once this is available, I'll download this and I'm going to post it to my YouTube channel. So it'll always be up there. This whole entire life.
Subscribed to yesterday, and I'm gonna get people to check that out. I suck on YouTube. I watch stuff, but I'm too lazy to sign in. So now I have to sign in.
Yeah.
So I can, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people today, where it was 6 o'clock here, which is supper time in the Maritimes. A lot of people are like, can I see this later? Because, oh my God, I'm just getting home. I was like, you'll see it later.
Don't worry.
So
Yep, it'll be posted either sometime tomorrow or Sunday, depending on how long it takes to download. So,
and I do want to say thanks to everybody that like wrote you and tagged you and are so supportive and love you too. So yay to all those people, right? There are some pretty awesome.
Yeah, if you tag enough of us larger creators, eventually we'll see it if you just keep bombarding us. So,
well, that's just it. I was like, he's got 3 million followers. He doesn't see that. Oh my God, he's busy. So, and I'm so glad you got your account back, because that was a little sketchy time.
It was, but it's TikTok.
That's right. And it's back, and it's all good now.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you have a good night. I'm night
right,
here. You're still having some evening. I don't have that.
Yeah.
That's done.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
All right. Well, it was nice talking to you. Thanks for sharing Andra's story.
Thank you so much, and I will talk to you again soon.
Of course.
Okay.
All right.
I don't know how to get out of this, so that's going to be all your magical doing.